Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. It is now 5:37, and I'll call this San Juan Economic Development Corporation meeting to order. First item on the agenda is our roll call. I'll begin with my right. Please identify yourself.
Mayor Mario Garza, Assistant Secretary.
Jesse Zambrano, attorney.
Ben Arjona, City Manager.
Cynthia Gutierrez, Secretary.
Cassie Contreras.
Jose Contreras, Alexis.
Frank Sanchez, Vice President.
Rene Villarreal, Executive Director.
And Arturo Guajardo Jr., President. Next item on the agenda is our public comment. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? No? If I may, I'll take this opportunity to say a few words. I want to thank Mr. Ben Arjona for wearing two hats for us for the time being. I know that today is Mr. Villarreal's first day, but I know that the entire board feels the same way I do. Thank you for doing and keeping the ship afloat during the time while we were looking for an executive director. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome our new counselor, Mr. Jesse Zambrano. I know you were here at the last meeting, but I wasn't, so we look forward to working with you, sir, under your guidance, and hopefully we'll steer the ship in the right direction as well. Thank you so much. It's a privilege. Thank you. And I'd like to also welcome our new director, Mr. Rene Villarreal. Today is your first meeting, right?
Right.
Very good. We have high expectations for you, and we look forward to working with you as well.
Thank you.
Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, we're looking at each other silently.
Are you guys going to go?
And I apologize,
No,
I
no,
got
no.
here a little late. Actually, Mayor had told me that the change of venue was changed, so I just didn't, I was thinking something else.
We're good.
Thinking
We're all
of
good.
trafficking
We're
myself.
like family. We're all good.
Thinking of traffic.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
our next item on the agenda is a presentation. We've got a presentation, Mr. Villarreal. I guess we've got Lexus Rio Grande Valley here on the,
Yes, I guess I'll say a few words here, and then I'll open it up if anyone would like to say a few words, and then we'll do a presentation. It was about 3 years ago, a little more than 3 years ago, that Mr. Contreras and I first met, and he came to San Juan, and he had a vision. And his vision, he knew it was going to be in the Rio Grande Valley, but he wasn't sure exactly where it was going to be in the Rio Grande Valley. And we had Westlaco, Edinburgh, McAllen, they were all fighting for Lexus, and San Juan won the fight. And it was thanks to a lot of hard work on behalf of the city staff, city manager, city commission, mayor, EDC board. It was a full team effort. And we couldn't be prouder to have Lexus here in San Juan. It's a beautiful, beautiful establishment. And Mr. Contreras, you've raised the bar as far as buying a luxury car in Texas. And, you know, somebody was saying when they pass by there, it doesn't feel like the valley. It feels like something in like Plano or Dallas or something. It's beautiful. And the economic impact that has had is immeasurable. It's a trickle-down effect. The EDC helped with the infrastructure and the city as well, and we've already seen the fruits of that. The nearby businesses that are sprouting up because of it, and the jobs that have been created, not only for the valley, but for San Juan residents, and they're all going to be eating and shopping in San Juan is a big plus to the economy. And this is the beginning of a long relationship with the city of San Juan, and you, Mr. Contreras, and your family. And we're proud to have you here in San Juan, in the valley, and welcome home.
welcome.
Thank you. And if I may,
Yes, please.
you know, so for the record, I'll build on that a little bit because it was, a little more than 3 years ago and almost 4 years ago when we first started planning this and started trying to figure out exactly where we were going to go and what we were going to do. And it really wasn't a fight that was won because the fight had been captured at hello, right? Because it really did. Because out of all of the cities that did raise their hand, and sure, I got an email and I got a phone call, it was initially that first hello when it was you that was at the place, because I think you were actually like the interim at the time. And so Renee and I first met, literally, my first introduction to the city was with Renee. And from that moment forward, and there were so many different options we even decided to go ahead and vacate 281 and the FAR area and go ahead and join the rest of the luxury dealership lineup on 83. And we decided that McAllen was sure that there was diamonds in the soil, so we were going to get away from that area and kind of head this way. You know, we had turnkey property, really in still far, but right up in here, right, I mean, literally a football's throw away from where we're at now. And we decided no, because of the warmth, the friendly city of San Juan, we wanted to see this through. And it was not turnkey. You know, it's still, the land had to still be converted over in zoning. It was 2 parcels of property that we had to purchase, a full family to visit with, the Cantu family. And then from there, we had to bring everything in. And I've got to share with you that throughout the entire time, and which took the course of a couple of years, right, a few years, when we thought that we might not have a dog in the fight anymore to complete things, you guys really did come through. Whether you pulled through because it was you were in transition between leadership at the Economic Development Center, or whatever it might have been, proposals that needed to be passed at these seats behind us, and at the end you came through. And I got to tell you that it's warm to all of us, and we just look forward to giving back. I think that's been something we've been saying for some time. I can tell you that when we were interviewing, it was behind the scenes, but we had candidates everywhere. We had lined up, people were lined up to come to work for us. And I'll tell you, if on the address they lived in the city of San Juan, it was an immediate top-placed resume, So it's something that we're proud of, and we certainly feel like we're in partnership with you, both with the EDC and with the city. And so thank you collectively to everybody. You're right. It's mi casa, su casa, and that's sincere. So if at any point in time anybody wants to come over and just utilize the facility, by all means, just let us know. We'll schedule it and get you in. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Is there any, I just want to open it up if there's anything anyone else would like to say before we present the check.
So how many people did you employ?
So it's a great question, right? I can tell you that right now, we're up to about 13 people, and out of 47, not doing too bad. And we're still just getting going. We've got probably 10 more people that we need to bring on board. PDQ, pretty darn quick, right? And I can tell you that we're trying to measure what our anticipated needs are going to be. It's hard to forecast off you kind of feel like you don't want to build church for Easter Sunday, right? And so we're having a tremendous first 2 weeks. But we're going to kind of just wait and see. Let's ride this thing through, and let's see. The last thing you want to do is overhire and have to adjust, right? But we'll be knocking on 50 employees total that we've brought to the area by the end of the next 2 weeks. So yeah, that's happening.
Also, is your dealership going to be a full-service center? Well, everyone that owns a Lexus always had to drive all over San Antonio.
That's it.
I can't go to
Not
San
anymore. Let me
Not
tell you,
anymore.
not anymore.
Stay here now.
So we've been taking care of RG for 20 plus years, and it was a losing proposition for us in the immediate. It was a winning proposition for us in the long run. The whole notion was, because you're talking $200 just in fuel one way, that doesn't include the manpower, that doesn't include, the everything else. And depending on the work that was being performed, you're lucky if you break even out on the deal. But it was just a matter of taking care of the guests and taking care of the customer, such that when this opportunity presented itself to get down here, we knew that it was those relationships that we can count on and fall back on to help put us on the map with Lexus formally, officially, to say, yes, we want to be the ones that the Valley wants us to be the ones to come down and take care of them like we've been doing for forever. So yeah, no, they don't have to drive up anymore. All right, yeah, and you've got to come by and see it. It's beautiful. Got loaner cars. Sure, I'd be glad to tell you. So we're kind of at, in terms of full capacity, in terms of capability, we're fairly there at full capability. There's a glitch here and there, right? You got to work through. But as far as sales, I can just tell you that as forecasting and performance go, last year in the Rio Grande Valley, 900 luxury vehicles were sold. If we can capture 17% of that luxury market and vehicle sales. That'll put us on average about 75 new cars a month. Traditionally speaking, we'll average a 1-for-1 ratio, if not a 1 1/4 ratio on used to new. So we'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 150 cars a month, just off that. I can tell you that our goals are a little more gregarious than that. We're hoping to get 100 and 100 just as soon as we can. If you take a look at some of the other luxury car dealerships in town, they tend to be kind of in that same realm of things. But we have 2,800 units in operation right now. And so if we capture 75% as the traditional deal on that deal, then that puts us at an RO pace of probably a minimum of 20, 25, service tickets a day that we can get to pretty darn quick. And if at the pace of, 50 new cars every 2 weeks, we'll get these units in operation, we'll be able to build that service department and offer more jobs, and just have more people flowing through the area just as quick as possible. So that's the plan. Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. So the real average hasn't even hit yet, so I'm glad. I'm glad that word of mouth is priceless, right? So that's what we're doing. Minus a big billboard, which I'm sure you've all seen, and a big flag. And a big flag. And we have the Lexus flag on order, so it's on the way too. But outside of that, once we get the word out, I'm glad to hear it's spreading.
Once again, Mr. Contreras, thank you so much for coming to San Juan. It's a facility, a dealership that's, it's beautiful, just like echoing Mr. Verial mentioned. Bringing something like this to our community, what it does is we start building around it. For instance, you're getting all these customers coming in, buying your cars, and for us, well, we're trying to bring in new businesses. We're trying to come and market the city and try to bring in restaurants, so that way your customers come in, they can eat in San Juan. You know what I'm saying? So that's the beauty of having a dealership like yours and like everyone else, in town. So in behalf of myself, the commission, the city, and EDC, thank you once again for coming in here and making a difference. Yes, sir.
All right, we got a check. We'd like to make a little presentation to you here. Just have everybody come up.
Yeah, I'm following your lead.
Come on, Jesse.
This is great. Look at this. Look at this. This is fantastic, you guys. Awesome. Fantastic.
Thank you guys again. Wish you guys the best of luck, okay? Lots of success. Congratulations on the baby. I can't believe you're here.
I know.
Thank you, sir. Really, really do.
Yes, my family is.
Thank you very much. Take a look at it.
Well, I gotta say, you know what, this has been the best picture I've ever taken, and let me tell you why. Because it covers my stomach.
I was like, my tippy toes.
You covered my stomach, man.
This is awesome. Thank you very, very, very much, you guys. This is cool. This is very good. We can keep this check?
Yeah, it's all yours. Yeah, go put it in your office for a few days. I don't think the bank will cash it, but go put it in
Yeah,
your
you know
office.
what, I'm gonna take it straight to Deanda. Hey, Deanda, can we put this puppy in?
ATM, we have a big enough ATM. We have a big ATM to put it through, no?
With his wife. With your wife.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, let's do one with the phone.
That looks better than the one with the white, with the dry erase board and the handwriting. That's much better. Is it straight?
Huh?
So you gotta send it to myself.
You want one with the phone?
No, I was just saying you guys, I'm No, we're okay. Well, I'm all right. I'm just.
Cassie, I mean, not Cassie. Martita. Martita.
Have fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Have
going
fun.
with you. Marta. I was gonna ask Marta to send it to us. Marta, ¿me las mandas? Las fotos. Very nice meeting you, and we'll be in contact. I'll see you at the.
Yes, bye-bye, thank you.
I didn't even bring my purse. Yes, sir. Yeah,
take care.
I'll give my card so you can, maybe you can put us at the department and talk to our director. Yeah, let me write it here. Okay. Gracias, sí. Casi. Ajá.
210-573-95.
come by.
95.
Will.
Okay, and we'll be in contact. Thank you. Very nice meeting you. Bye, and welcome again. And congratulations on your baby.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Our next item on the agenda is B, Rancho Grande, also under presentation.
Rancho Grande was unable to make it, so we'll probably have that presentation at our next meeting.
You can have it at the restaurant.
And we'll move on to item number 5, Director's Report. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, I provided you with a copy of the report. And this is a little, I broke it down here, sorry. A little welcome, first of all. As the new director for the EDC, I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to represent the city of San Juan. It's something I love to do. It's something that, you know, I wake up every morning and come to this job, and, you know, it's not hard to get out of bed for. And, you know, I know that you all have very high expectations for the city, and I do too. And if we work together as a team, there's no stopping us. And so I look forward to getting some really good meetings going with you all and some really good projects coming down the road. And I know people don't like to say numbers, but I think a very achievable target could possibly be 5 construction projects on the Expressway in 2019. That's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm shooting for. So I think it's doable, and if we do everything right, you know, even it's always good to have a good high target. You know, the old saying, shoot for the stars and you'll land on the moon. But I really believe that that's something that could be possible. So I look forward to meeting with all of you individually. You know, do not hesitate to come by and talk about anything on this report or anything, other questions you may have. So with that being said, moving forward, there's a restaurant here in the city that, Italian restaurant. It's a new restaurant that has grown out of its building. It's too big. They're too big for their building, so they're looking to expand, and they came to the EDC asking for, you know, what their options may be. And so I'm working with the gentleman, the owner, and we went to the Small Business Association in Edinburgh, and we set him up with an advisor there about how he can go about getting a small business loan, and I will be helping him with the business plan and all that. So we're moving forward with that gentleman and working with him. I'm trying to find buildings. I showed him a location here in San Juan as well, and he liked it. He had questions, but, you know, we're working on it. I'm going to show him some more places as well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, if I may, that you went and helped them with the business plan and took them to those resources, rather than just be a handout kind of place. Okay, well, how much are you going to give me? Historically, that's kind of what I've heard here, but I like that direction right there, you know, kind of guide them through, helping them get going as a business, rather than not to see us as just some type of handout place, you know. Exactly.
You know, I think it's important to exhaust all our options before we get to that point. So, I-Road and Expressway update. There was some drainage, I guess if you want to say issues, or they're just trying to get in there. And this is where the sign for the Texas National Bank is. And I wrote it. I'm not going to read it exactly how it is there, but Um, they're working on it. City planning along with the utilities director.
Yes, if I can chime in
Sure.
on this, I know that there was not an issue per se, it was the fact that the had their drainage already completed. So now the bank that is coming in, along with the other businesses that are coming in, they needed a drainage location. So one of the option was to go through the right-of-way, which was up in the front. We met with Lexus, and they were kind of like, not very in that agreement of going through the front because of all the landscaping that was going to be, having to be redone because they had to go in and excavate, run the line. Right,
Along the expressway.
that is correct. So one of the other option was going through the back, and that was like, we're gonna do that, we're gonna have to go buy some property from the Cantu family, because there was gonna be some sort of an easement that had to be dedicated just for that line. However, meeting with Lexus, meeting with the bank, the engineers, they came to an agreement that they were gonna share the same drainage line. However, that line, the one that leads from the Lexus to the lift station, was gonna be upgraded at the cost of the National Bank, which is gonna be a cost into it, but it's gonna be less than what they would have expended, right, on their own. So as of now, the contract has nothing to do with the city. We saw it though, just to make sure that if in the future, somebody was to like, next to the Lexus was to come in and purchase a property, there will be an agreement that line was to be shared. So those are some of the agreements that the attorneys were working out. Now it's on the hands of the Lexus attorney so that they can sign off on them and move on with the project. We did make some comments on it. Our engineer that was on the rotation list, the engineer that is working on the project with Texas National Bank has already agreed to them, submitted to the Lexus, and we're just waiting on approval from them. After that, I want to say that if everything goes well within the next week or 2 weeks, there should be some movement already. So we may be doing here a groundbreaking on that. Yes. I want to say those guys are ready. So as soon as they submit the plans, as soon as they record it, as soon as we sign off on them, that's when they're going to start doing the work.
Actually, Mr. Arjona, what I was told by Ramiro Garza, who's involved in the bank, there, he told me that it's been recorded already.
Already recorded?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
So they're already ready to have a groundbreaking. He said they can do it within 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes.
But I routed them to you, and then I mentioned Mr. Verial's name as well. So he should be contacting you, Mr. Verial, so that way the ball can go and these guys.
Matter of fact, I spoke to Mario Reina, whom is the engineer in charge, and I asked him, I told him, as soon as you provide us with the plans, we'll expedite it, so that instead of taking a week or whatever it normally takes, we can do it within the next, within a couple of days of them submitting the plans.
Thank you. You said it much better than I was. But in the same property, I got an email yesterday that as of yesterday afternoon, we can now disclose that Blue Wave is coming to San Juan. That's for sure. And there is also a major chain also in the works that we cannot disclose at this time next door. So good positive news there. Property next to HEB, I'm working with a real estate person on that property as well. Also, Mr. Salinas, Utilities Director, is helping out, talking to their engineer and getting that ball rolling. And it's to also some national restaurant concepts that we're hoping to get in there. Quick update on the bylaws. They have been signed by the city attorney. Everything's good to go. The bylaws are done. No? So-
I was informed by Mr. Zambrano that he hasn't reviewed them.
Oh, okay. Then, okay, they're actually,
They've been signed already?
they have been signed.
Okay. Right.
Okay,
I'll look at them, and if there's any issues or
we'll,
whatever, then
we'll bring it back.
we can do amendment or whatever.
Okay. I'll give you a copy before you leave. We have one here.
If I could go back to, I mean, are you done with that one? Are we done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, if I can go back to the HEB, just to explain the involvement of the project engineer talking to our utilities director. The chain that is coming into that location, this is a chain that actually is on the north, that's where they're at. And one of the things is that their requirement is to have like a 2-acre type of a flooding type of a system, like
Retention.
retention pond. So they brought it up to David's attention and said, hey, we don't need 2 acres of retention pond. So he's working with them so that Instead of 2 acres, it's just gonna be whatever the standard is. Yes. I mean, if that was to have been the case. No, north of Austin, San Antonio.
Okay,
Yeah, those
another
places.
city.
Right.
And the property next to, just to clarify, because just to make sure, it's right to the east of, right?
East of
On the
Correct.
frontage? Okay.
We're just clarifying on that, giving alternatives, giving a better solution as to what the actual engineer from that franchise is proposing.
At this point, they're just interested, they're showing interest, they're
No,
not
I
quite
think,
there, but we're trying to entice them and work with them. Okay.
I think it's one of those that, está más para allá que para acá, you know? Yeah. So,
Better. Allá o pa' acá.
Costing us money and we're just kind of.
be perfect to start working on a workshop for the budget workshop.
And also, Mr. Villar, the Noche de Paz is coming up here in December, so that way maybe we can put something on the agenda for the next one just to discuss and see how I know in the past years, the EDC's been a contributor
Right.
to this big event that we usually have every year.
Right.
And maybe you can put that on the next meeting, so that way we can discuss and see where we're at or what our plans are.
Will do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, property next to Popeye's Restaurant here in San Juan. Wait, do I have that one? Yes, property next to Popeye's. I'm working with the real estate person there as well. And as I say here in the report, we're looking to bring something very nice there that the community is lacking at this time, and it will draw people from Donna, Alamo, and San Juan. It's still very, very preliminary at this time, but we're working together, myself and the real estate developer to get this going. So cross your fingers on that one. That one's going to be really, really.
When you say you cannot say the name of it this time, at least you're talking to somebody. It's not just an abstract thought. I mean, you
No.
got somebody in mind already.
We're talking to somebody. There's emails been exchanged, and so we're working on that at this time. Number 8, the EDC properties. I gave everyone here, including Mr. Zambrano, and I have one for you, Mr. Arjona, as well. It's a binder that we put together at the EDC office. And there's different tabs. One of the tabs is properties. And in this binder, I have given you guys every document that the EDC has with regards to the EDC properties. So there's appraisals, surveys, tax information, titles, whatever we have as regarding the EDC properties is in here. You'll be able to find it. So this is everything that we have. I see 2. 2 properties. That's what I'm getting from the appraisal.
One right next to Risica,
Behind it, correct?
behind there, and what other one?
And the other one
Old 83?
is Old 83. Correct. And in here, you'll find everything regarding that. And one of the things that, in researching this, that came up that I'd like to bring up for discussion is that on that property on Business 83, back in 2014, we had an appraisal done on it, and it was valued at 230,000, and we recently had another appraisal done on it now, and it's 330,000. 327 to be exact. So it's gone up 100,000, and so I wanted to maybe bring that up as far as, 'cause I had heard once that if you have two appraisals, then you can go with in the middle, and I'm just not sure if that 327,000 is, I mean, how, if it could go up significantly in 1 year. So I'm gonna probably get with the attorney on.
Are you using a professional appraisal or?
Yes, sir. No, professional. I included them also in here, both appraisals, so you guys can review them, and if you wanna.
Usually what happens, you can market somewhere in that range, but at the time of when you really get to negotiation phase, you can order another one or two, and then meet halfway there at that point in time.
And
Okay.
and that is the reason why we ordered the other one, because point, there was Pico de Gallo or Gallo that was interested in this property, so that's why we ordered another appraisal, only because of the fact that he had taken, the last appraisal was in 2014. So if I'm not mistaken, appraisal has to be like within a couple of years, no more than that. So that's the reason why we ordered those appraisals. But yes, it's the one up in the front and the one in the back, the lady was interested in all of it. So at the city commission, it was approved that it was going to be transferred to EDC. But then the deal that from the lady from the Pico de Gallo was, at the end, was not interested because of the price. But it's still in the works, that the property from the back, if I'm not talking out of hand here, it belongs to the city. However, it's in the process of handing it over to the EDC. Right. The only thing we need to do is bring it back for approval, but we haven't done that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just wanted to clear that up. I haven't shown any prospective buyers that property because I just wanted to, I've got two appraisals and I want to make sure that I've got,
Mr. Sombra, yeah,
clarification on
that
that.
was
I think
my,
here, Mr. Villarreal, I think that you have to go with, the latest appraisal. You go with the latest appraisal, but also just keep in mind that an appraisal is just an appraisal, right? You can have an appraisal for 327, and if somebody wants to pay you 500, you take the 500. So it's just that, it's an appraisal. It's got, typically commercial appraisals, you have comparisons, and they use comparisons of different properties, and then they average out also, the actual value. But like, for example, if you have a piece of property that's gonna be used for, let's say retail sales, and so then, you have different type of appraisals where you have appraisals based on the value of income-producing property as opposed to value of just, the land plus the improvements on the property. So it could just really vary. I mean, if I was you, I would just disregard probably the older appraisal, just go by the new appraisal, and just keep that in mind, that it's just an appraisal, that's what it is. I mean, we've seen situations where, appraisals are wrong. I mean, the whole, mortgage crisis and everything, it was based on, a lot of times having just appraisals that were not, accurate or whatever. So, but I think here, just look at the latest one, and we can kind of review it together, and just take that as a sort of as a measuring stick, but nothing more than that. If you have a prospective buyer, it's going to be a business that you want to bring in, you want to discount the price because you really want that business in, or that property owner, whoever wants to buy it, then that would be one thing. If you want to really just maximize whatever you want to sell the property for, then, it could be a different thought process, so just kind of keep that in mind.
Okay. If I have any questions, I'll meet with you then on that. Thank you.
Now that we're talking about appraisals, do we regularly use the same appraiser or not? Or do we have an in-house, or just we go with anyone, or?
Oh, actually, the appraiser that was hired by the city is one that
That's the
typically in
one
the
we
past.
use?
Right. that we
Okay, so
always
the
used in
city
past.
does hire one, have one on record, and that's the one we'll usually use?
Not that we have one on record.
Right,
is-
but he's your catalog
Regular-
vendor.
Yes.
Or chosen vendor.
Like in banks, you want to have,
Two or three.
yeah, you want to have several, and then you want to have, properties being appraised at least every 2 years, every year. And so I think good practice would be also if you have like a rotation where like every year, you have a date where you, just kind of get new appraisals. I think that'd be also good practice, just making sure that you're always kind of updating it, because it's kind of like Lexus, comes into town now. Now you have a really nice property, so guess what? Property values around there are going to start going up, and so, It's just good practice.
But if there's some property that belongs to the city and there is some more, if somebody is wanting to come over and develop in that area, by all means, I mean, we can always bring it before the commission and then bring it over to the EDC and then
Okay.
get it to sell.
Okay, sounds good. And I've got an inventory there of the city property as well, so.
So on the other property, are you gonna discuss anything else on the other property? The one by Risica? I know you
I-
called me, you were asking about the access. Did you confirm anything or do any further research? We discussed this at length before, the little access road right off the expressway. I think Alonso Cantu bought that, right? So
That's what it says on the,
so he
on
owns
the
the
records.
access road, which kind of controlling what we do with that property now. But there was another gentleman that kept coming to us by the name of Benavides,
Mhm.
Roel Benavides.
Yes, sir.
Apparently he had, from the research that I did on that property, and I want to share this because we've got our new legal counsel here, and we had just recently directed the other counselor to try to do something for us, and then he was gone. But they had like an option to purchase the property, say they were given a year or something, so they deposited a $10,000 escrow. And they never came through. I mean, obviously, it's been 5, 6, 7 years now. So I was like, well, where's that $10,000? It should belong to us. There was a law firm that it had been deposited with a law firm. So when he was hounding us and said, that property's ours, that property's mine, I said, why do you keep saying that it's yours? I mean, well, no, I cleaned it and I paid money to clean it up, and I did some research, and then I found, I said, wait a minute, you just had an option to buy. The fact that you cleaned up the property was completely on your own, the way I see it. Now, the $10,000 though, I think you need to start talking about that. And then he went away. Yeah, he never came back anymore. So that might be something that we want to look into. See
So you
if-
have a contract, and I guess the contract would have provisions as to what happens to the earnest money, and we can just make a demand to the title company to get that money back. So you can get me that, and then we can.
Yes, I'll look through the records. I remember you did tell me that. That was one of the first things you told me, one of the first days here, and I'll get on that. Don't worry about it.
I think, I got some information on that. They told me that they're ready, they were waiting on EDC, what I understood. And, they wanted to see where, actually, you already rectified it right now. And, they're looking into possible hotel in that area that I know of. That so far, that they're ready to go, and they're willing to discuss with EDC in the city as far as bringing a hotel to the location. But those are,
Contract and the closing date for that contract is already come and gone,
right.
then we need to look at, if we're gonna enter into a new
First,
contract, and we look at what happens to, not to say that, if that earnest money was there, that we give them credit or whatever, but I think first let's look at the contract, see what we need to take from there, and then if we need to reopen negotiations based on that, then we can do that.
I'll go ahead and look through all those files and folders, and if need be, we'll bring it here to the next meeting.
I think
For
that
more
was
discussion.
the original discussion, what I understand about bringing a hotel, and so, yeah, I think there's gotta be something on there.
All right. Organization of the office, the staff, Martha and Milo, have been very, very helpful. They're very eager to learn. We've already done a lot. They're putting together an inventory of the entire office. We're going through we're working with IT, and we've recovered a lot of the old files on the server, and I'm going through those and cleaning it up. I mean, there's files on there since the inception of the EDC, and I mean, I can pretty much I know what's good and what's not, having been here, in and out of here for a long time, so I'm cleaning all that up. We're finding as well old minutes, old recordings, old agendas, and I know that's very important to the board to get all that situated, and that's going to be an ongoing work in progress. And it's right so far, from what I've seen, Martha has it already organized better than I've ever seen our minutes organized ever. But it's still, we got to go back like to 2007. I want to have a library of all that, right.
Because here, over the past 6, 7 months, we've been getting caught with not knowing what's going on. Hey, prior board promised us this, and we couldn't find anything in the minutes. So that is a priority. We need to
Absolutely.
get a good grip on our records and know, what we're up against when these people come to us and say, hey, we were promised this or that.
Absolutely. So we're Yes.
I think on that, I think that one of the things you probably want to look at is what's best practice for an EDC in terms of document retention, right? Because, I mean, at some point, how far back do you go? And so I think that that's one thing you probably want to look at, just document retention. I think when it comes to files in terms of anything having to do with legal matters, which pretty much everything you do is going to have some involvement, you know, then obviously, for any file that I work on, you're gonna have a complete file of everything that I do, Rene. Obviously, by law, I have to do that. You know, and at the same time, you should have your own file. But I would start there, you know, just kind of what's the best practice? As far as going back, like how far do you go? I mean, I would just, you know, really the most important ones are any projects that you may have, anything that where anybody may be claiming that there's anything pending or anything like that. I mean, I would start with those for sure.
Absolutely.
And then once we do that, then again, establish a retention policy. But in terms of any legal matter, and whether it's me or anybody in the future, I mean, I think you need to make sure that you discuss that up front with any lawyer that represents the corporation, that obviously at any time you request a file, he needs to give you a file, he or she. I mean, because by law, ethically, we have to do it, you know? I mean, if I work on something for you and you ask me for a file next month and I tell you I don't have it, I mean, I don't think that, I don't think we can do that, or we should do that. So I think that the retention policy, and then in terms of anything that I work on, you know, I'll keep a complete file of all communications, emails, documents, drafts of things. I mean, obviously, a lot of stuff is gonna be attorney-client stuff, so it doesn't mean, sometimes it's better that I keep it in my file, because, I mean, it's not, you know, if somebody doesn't open records or whatever, and if it's attorney-client, I mean, you know, we don't have to disclose that.
Counting.
Government entity, right, kind of a, what is the nonprofit, 501c, is that what we're?
It's a 501c3, but when you say like documents or records, like it just
Like the
depends.
minutes, say the minutes.
Yes.
Like city minutes are permanent records, right? Like I know county government, they're permanent records. We got them back to the 1800s, so I don't know about an entity like this.
Yeah, I think they should be, because we're subject to the Open Meetings Act, right? And so I think that, I mean, the best practice ought to be that we keep all of those minutes, yeah, absolutely. Mr. Villarreal and I talked a little bit about executive session items in terms of recordings versus certified agendas, and, you know, kind of what the practice is, and, you know, we'll have a discussion on that, but I think anything that's record keeping, I would say we want to keep. I mean, especially minutes. So it's obviously important who's going to be transcribing those minutes, how much information do we include, how much information do we kind of, you know, keep out. I mean, you want to be thorough, but you don't want to have every single, you know, exchange.
In this day and age now, technology, you know, audio, video, and we're recording our tapes, you know, the law allows us to use that as our minutes now. You don't have to transcribe and take notes, and this guy made the motion, this guy made the motion. You've got it on audio or video.
Right.
And you can keep that as the record, you know, and catalog it that way. You ever need something, well, the whole meeting is there, you know. And then there are software packages out there that'll help you migrate through that whole system as well, where you can go exactly to this item, or you don't have to be watching the tape, you know, as it goes. So those are things to consider and look at.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
I know you're brand new, so we don't want to beat you up.
We're, no, but we are, I'm working a lot with IT, and we're modernizing our website and categorizing. It's all about categorizing and having all that, so. We do have a ribbon cutting, and there is a flyer here in case you didn't get the email. It's going to be next Tuesday at Marisol Restaurant here in San Juan. And so I invite, of course, everyone in the community. It's on the northwest corner of Raul Longoria and Sioux Road. And so.
What's another restaurant?
It
It's
was.
been like 3 or 4. Hopefully this one is.
And so the lady is looking to grow her business, and she wants business there, so she was recommended to do a grand opening / ribbon cutting event, and so hope to see you all there. Everyone from the city is invited. She said to go ahead and invite all the directors as well. She wants a good turnout, 25 people.
This restaurant used to be called, right?
Yes.
Alejandro, or something?
Alejandro or something like that, right?
Oh, okay.
Something else.
No.
No, because it's been two restaurants after that. like a year
Shortly
ago.
after that, it was,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Yes.
And then the last time I was there, I'll share this with you guys, maybe that's why the other guys are gone. I paid with my debit card, and the receipt that they gave me was for a flower shop on 17th Street in McAllen. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Something's not right. I said, how do I leave a tip on this thing? I said, okay. So that's the place.
That's where it's at.
Marisol's.
So that's coming up here next week. We also did a donation to the PSJA students, school supplies. They asked us for that, and we had some pencils and pencil bags. So we donated those to the school. And also, I finally met with Hollis Rutledge and their staff, and we hope to be bringing here. We're going to be preparing in the background here. Getting everything ready to have a workshop. We don't want to just bring a workshop and then we're having the same conversations that I already had. I want to prepare something, have something prepared, or a few options prepared to present, rather than where we're just kind of guessing at the workshop, so we can be efficient. And that's it.
Move on to item number 6, which are our action items. The first one is discussion, consideration, and possible action, if any, authorizing the San Juan EDC Executive Director to sign any and all necessary documents, I would imagine, to effectuate the signature on bank accounts. Any discussion on that? It's basically turning the reins over to Mr. Villarreal for him to sign. I'd entertain a motion to accept this. Okay, I got a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is discussion, consideration, and possible action, if any, to authorize the San Juan EDC Executive Director to renew or discontinue contract services with Stream Energy or enter new contract with new provider.
We're currently with Stream Energy, and our contract's coming up here in August to renew. And so I went ahead and got 2 other quotes that you can look at. And
So which one's,
the first one here is Stream, the renewal.
yes,
And it says 36-month, 24-month, 12-month, and their kilowatt. And then after that, you've got Ambit Energy, and their 12-month, 24-month, and 36-month kilowatt plan. And then the last page, I got one from Reliant. And so, of course, I mean, it's well,
or have you had any issues with Stream?
we have
That
not-
you know of?
no,
Ms.
sir.
Martha? No? Okay.
No, Stream has been fine. I just wanted to provide those options for the board. It's usually easier if you just renew, but if somebody here has a preference or anything.
The way it's on the agenda is basically to authorize him to make the decision to either renew or not renew, or go with someone else.
Looks like Stream Commercial has better rates, right, as far as the kilowatts? Because you got, looking
Yes.
at fixed month, 36 months, actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking,
Yes, I was thinking the 2-year. I didn't want to do, I think 3-year might be a bit long.
Is that your recommendation?
I would say 24-month Stream.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to authorize him to move forward with this? Okay, I've got a motion
second,
and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye, or is there more
oh, is
discussion?
there some more discussion on it?
All
No,
in favor
Well, it looks
signify
like
by
we
saying
got,
aye.
we got a better rate on Streamline,
Any
right?
further discussion?
Well, just Mr. Arjona was saying about having any options or whatever, I think we'll work on, if you give him to negotiate it, then as far as the contract, we'll work on it together. And we'll make sure that any type of options or whatever other clauses, that we review them. I guess the only question I was gonna ask is, what's the norm? I mean, what's sort of best practice in terms of, drop, right? And so, and then I don't know what the city is doing or who the city uses, but I think that anytime, Mr. Varela, that you're gonna enter into it, you know, because these contracts, I mean, they're kind of your, what I would consider your bigger contracts in terms of, you know, operationally, you know, in terms of energy, and so I think just kind of keep in mind, you know, because if you kind of if the city's using the same company, then how can you leverage off of that to negotiate to try to get
Okay.
the best rate as you can? And then also consider, you know, it's energy, right? So if you go 2 years as opposed to 5 years, you know, but if you go 5 years, your rate significantly drops, then that may be the best thing to do.
But you also need to consider that we're looking at a new city hall. And I think, I know we've spoken before in the past that our plan is to build to where we can bring in the EDC over with the city hall. So my recommendation, I think, would be better just go with like a 2-year deal. Yeah, exactly. Just for that reason, because that is our goal for you all to come to the new location once it's up and going.
Right, that's what I was taking into consideration as well.
Okay.
And I,
Sure, but I know that we're under a, what is it called, a partnership or TCAP? And we have a very low rate on that, but we're locked in for the next 3 years with them. I don't know who the provider is, but it's a partnership with the TCAP, that's what it's called.
If you get a quote from them, maybe.
When is it
Yes.
gonna expire?
this one, we still got some, it expires August 31st, so we're ahead of the game here. So,
I guess I try to, you know, if you can save, you know, any penny you can save,
Or,
you
yeah,
know,
I agree.
it's good, so.
So I've got a motion and a second authorizing him to move forward with this. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next item, number 3, discussion, consideration, and possible action, if any, to approve the San Juan EDC assistance application and mini grant applications both in English and in Spanish.
yes, Mr. President, this, from my understanding, has been brought to the board a few times for revision already. Just to give you a background, the mini grant, I was here when we would actually use that, and the maximum award on the mini grant was $1,000. And what that was for promotional, so they could go out and do signage, or if they wanted to do T-shirts or caps or keychains or anything like that, we would pay the vendor. We wouldn't give the money to the businesses directly, but we would pay the vendor. So bumper stickers, things like that, of that nature. And so the mini grant is capped off at 1,000. And then we have the application for assistance, which is an application that was developed here a few months ago, I believe. And that one, I'm assuming, is for the bigger businesses coming in. You know, if you're asking for a bigger thing, we want to have a record of all the information. What's the economic impact? How many jobs are being created? And behind that, I went ahead and added one that we used to use here the last time I was here. It's a digital, so it can be emailed and it can be filled out digitally. And it goes into, it's basically the same thing. It can be actually to supplement the assistance application, and or we could take it, and it just goes more into depth as far as the economic impact. And then I went ahead and threw in an in-house economic impact study that we did for the Lexus project, and that had to deal with the Chapter 380. So the reason why I put these in here was because I think it's important to have for the board when making decisions to know, okay, what is the economic impact? What is our return on investment is very important. And so either way, the economic impact is something that we'll prepare in-house. And so it just comes down to if you want to approve these as they are right now, or if there's any changes you want to make. Or
Board, we have tossed them around back and forth a couple of times. We've done revisions, corrected misspellings and what have you. And the thing is that we didn't have anything in place, and we were getting hit with all these requests. But they weren't really this type of requests. They were more the golf tournaments and that kind of thing.
right.
But that prompted the discussion as to, getting some type of standard applications for the people that are coming to us for assistance. So I think that we should move forward with approving them, and then if we need to tweak down the line, we can continue to tweak as we grow. That
Okay.
would be my recommendation. I don't know what the wishes of the board are.
We've got, I didn't bring them to the table here because of this, and we've got right now three, like you said, nonprofit organizations who are looking for a donation, and that,
Maybe we need to look at yet another form that we can use with those type of requests. I don't know, you've been here in the past. Do you recall what you used to use in the past?
for as my, in my past, for those types of organizations asking for something like that, we've never, in my, as far as I know, no, sir.
You would just review the flyer, bring it to the board, and.
As far as I know, yes.
And, I mean, we can continue to do that or not. I mean, it's whatever we want to do as a board.
One of the things that I had thought of is that if we give those, you know, maybe, there's all types of nonprofits, big, small, and we give them a form to fill out. I don't know if we're sending a message that it's like automatic approval. Hey, I did the paperwork, you know, where's my money kind of thing, and are we gonna,
Well, the thought process was on the contrary, we would set the parameters. Okay, you either qualify for 100 or 500 or 250, not you're bringing me a flyer that says 5,000, 3,000, or 1,000, and I'm held to that, you know? That was kind of the way we were talking about it back in, a few
And-
months back.
and then, yes.
Right.
The mini grant is strictly for market.
Sponsorship, or if it's just like you were talking about, like golf tournaments or whatever, if it's just a sponsorship, then I think they're two different things. And I think like on the grant, you do want to be able to at least track, you know, how many grant applications you receive, how much, you know, and then you want to be able to have some type of measurable means to see that it's working, right? Because if not, then every business that come in, you know, every business needs marketing, and so how do you, where do you draw the line? So I think those are two really just different things, and maybe as you go through your budget, you know, you maybe want to separate the two. So like grants is one thing, and
Branch, and then with the financial assistance, and then with all these other donations.
have
So
the
we've got
first
two
two.
in front of us today. We don't have anyone for the golf tournaments, and the discussion in the past has been, should we come up with something or not? Because of our constraints, budgetary constraints, you know, hey, we're gonna give 10,000 for the year, and we're getting hit, I mean, every month for 10,000, we're not gonna, you know, it's gonna be tough. Right. That was the thought process as to coming up with some type of structure for us to help us protect ourselves more than anything. That's what it was about.
Right, and then it comes to that, if everyone who fills out the application, are they coming to the board? But are they coming, everyone who fills out the application, they're coming to the board, and then we're gonna put,
Those are the decisions that you will have to make or discuss with this board until we can come up with a.
I think the way you screen that, just like anything else, the board decides what gets on the agenda. You know, you're gonna have requests from everybody, but it doesn't mean you're gonna bring them all to the table. And because you don't want to put the board members also in a position where
right,
they're voting things down either.
right.
And so I think it's just a matter of maybe studying a little bit more and just having, for the three different, you know, type of, you know, just have some parameters in place. But don't be concerned that somebody's gonna take an application, we're gonna turn them down. I mean, I get requests at my office all the time, and you sometimes you have to say no, you know, so it's okay. I mean, you know, and I
Yeah.
think people understand that too. I think it's more from a budgetary standpoint, you know, just making sure that you have the amounts and you budget accordingly so that you're not overspending on that.
Right.
So going back to the item agenda, on today we have before us the two that are on this packet,
Right.
both in Spanish and in English, and we went off on a tangent talking about a third one, so maybe you can further elaborate on that next time.
Okay.
So today, Is there any more discussion on those two that we have before us? Do we want to go ahead and approve? If we do. Is there no Spanish included?
For the assistance, there's Spanish. There's for the mini grant, there's English and Spanish.
Okay, so we
And-
can continue to work on a Spanish one for the,
Yeah, I can
for the second one?
have it ready for tomorrow.
The mini grant is a nice,
You don't have to
I
do it
can
by
do it
tomorrow.
Or do you want to wait on that one and
Well, we
approve
can,
the
we
other
can
one, or
act
just
on what
approve
we've
it
got
and just
before
add
us,
it?
and then we can
Right.
add a Spanish version, ¿verdad? With
You
that?
can amend whatever is on set, right? Counsel?
Okay, then
You
I'll
can put it in
entertain
there.
a motion to approve what we've got before us.
I make a motion to approve the contract, not contracts, they're
The two
Applications,
applications that we have in hand,
Okay, got a motion?
pending the Spanish one.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed, I'm assuming? Okay, motion carries.
What happened?
You're-
Oh,
Are you in favor? Or you against?
No, I was reading the,
Okay.
no, I'm for it.
All right, it's unanimous. Next item, number 4, discussion, possible action, if any, on approving San Juan EDC meetings for the month of August 2018. Okay, what did we,
the board has expressed that meeting twice a month is we can get more done and in a shorter period of time. And so,
I know we all live busy lives, that's why we've been doing this, and we don't have a set date, because we try to accommodate as many of the members as possible. So, I'm fine with that, as long as I'm here.
the idea has been tossed around that perhaps having a set schedule and that also reflects the city meetings, to where my understanding that is in FAR, what they do is they'll have the EDC meeting and then they'll jump into the
Mayor suggested
city
that
meeting.
last time.
No, yeah, well, the last time I think we spoke, I know you were out, Mr. President, but the board, we talked about maybe having the EDC meetings twice a month, how Mr. Villar mentioned, and have it on the same day of the city commission, yes. But the way it works is that we would have our EDC meeting first from 5:30 to 6:30. So that means for the city, we're gonna have to push back our meeting 30 minutes, because usually we start at 6 p.m. And if we go this route, then if the board does decide, we can do from 5:30 to 6:30 EDC, and then the rest of the commission.
For both meetings, or just one of them, do you think? Because that's kind of, we're limiting us, and we usually go beyond the hour.
Well, I mean,
What do you, I mean, we could,
I think,
it could change, and we could
I
rush
think we are,
through it.
but,
I think in 1
I
hour we
think
can get.
We should be getting done, you know, I know we've been out of topic at times, and I think, with your help, what you did today, we brought us back to the table and put us in line to speak in reference to what we have on the agenda versus, leading off like we usually do. Maybe we can actually get things done quicker and get down to the
And
point.
we're
and
also
get out.
just meeting once a month, so
Right.
it's not
And
really-
that's another thing now, go back to once a month, but I suggested, and the last meeting that we had, I prefer to go twice a month, because.
I agree, you
because
get more
it won't be
things
as
done.
long.
Exactly,
It's
not
too
only that.
long of a stretch.
Exactly, Mr. President, not only that, I mean, what we can do is just follow up on what we discussed the previous meetings, like these other issues, you know what I'm saying? So I think that we can get the ball going a lot quicker, and,
So your city council meetings are when?
it's every second Tuesday and last Tuesday of the month.
So in this case, it would be
The ninth-
August the 7th?
No, the second Tuesday of the month, you know?
The 14th.
Oh, the second would be the 14th.
Yes, so
And then
it's,
the last one would be the 28th.
correct. Yes, and that, we can start at 5:30.
Counsel, you're available those dates?
and that location would be here, correct?
Well, that's another thing. I mean, I don't know what you guys, decide on, but in my opinion, I would like for it to be here, and only the simple reason that I would like to live stream the EDC meetings as well. So that way the whole community knows what we're doing. This would be the first time that we live stream EDC meeting. Yeah, we stop and we jump on and listen, we'll take care of the city business.
One of the also advantages could be that we've been in this situation before where the EDC will approve something and then we're waiting 2 more weeks for the city meeting to happen and it's slowing down.
Exact, and
Whereas-
that's where I was leading to, and you hit it right on the nail. You're right, Mr.
You could
Villar.
approve it at the EDC and then it goes straight to the city meeting for approval. Well, yes, of course.
Both?
Right, right.
Yes,
It
correct.
can be more efficient.
And I honestly think we'll get things going a lot quicker. Yeah.
You may have presentations where you have people from the outside coming in, and you ask them to come in on different dates here. You bring them in for EDC, then you bring them in for the, you have to approve back to back.
Now, the only thing I have is, having to set up and put all the chairs ready for the city meeting. How can we?
And then if
How
you got
about meeting in the
executive
back?
session items, those will tend to go long. And I'll speak out of what we do at the county. So at the county, we do the drainage district meetings right before the county meetings. And what happens when things like that of that nature, when it's extending beyond, they'll come out of an executive session and then recess the meeting, call the county meeting to order, recess the county meeting, go back to the
Oh,
other one
no,
until
yeah.
they're finished.
Yes, no.
And then they'll come back to the city, to the county meeting. So I don't know if that
Or-
might be
or-
something that'll happen to.
Or another
to us.
thing, I mean, we can push back of course, speaking to the rest of the commission, we can maybe push back our city meeting, so that way we're not really, pressed, and, you know what I'm saying? So it's something that I don't know how your directors would feel about that. But, I mean, the whole goal here, guys, is, having the EDC meeting first, and then our commission meeting right away. But, I mean, I don't know, what do you think, Mr. Arjona? Would there be an issue if?
The directors, I mean, you guys.
Well, I mean, I understand, I mean, they've been here all day but that's just my suggestion. I don't know if it's good for you guys to stick to 5:30.
We could do
To
5. We could
6:30?
do 5.
No,
I don't know
well,
if that's.
I can't,
Don't point fingers, Mr. Gonzalez.
yeah.
I think
No, and
that's-
it's a long drive from Edinburgh,
No, it's-
Well,
I'm
we won't know
I'm past the 6 months.
until we try it.
Yeah, so
And
I
if
can be absent,
it's
I
not
can
working,
be
you can
late.
always come back and change, right?
Yeah, it's fine with me at 5.
We won't know until we get it going and see if it's
So
gonna
you wanna
work.
give it a try and then we'll adjust as it goes?
I'm a firm believer of trying before we actually make the decision. If it
That's a
doesn't
great
work, we
idea.
can always go back to what we're supposed to be doing.
As far as 5, I can, now
five.
I'm past the 6
Or
months.
unless
can
somebody
do
says
five.
otherwise.
To me, 5
can
is
do
okay.
5,
I don't know about everyone else.
In fact, I'm sorry, as a matter of fact, we were talking about this, if that was to be the place, what we wanted to do was leave it as a city meeting, order some nameplates, sit them over, sit up there, and when the meeting starts, we'll just change the plates.
Right.
See, well, I didn't know anything about the plates, though, but that's good.
I'm just saying,
I don't know about those plates.
No.
I don't know. We'll just make him cardboard.
Well, we should just use it like that, right?
the meeting, you adjourn the meeting, and then, at 6:30 or whatever.
Exactly how we handle the.
And
the
there's
ones in
no,
the
there's
county.
not a
Same
problem,
seats.
yes, that will not be a problem. I mean, we don't have to worry about.
Camera angles, everything's working
So,
already.
I mean, what do you guys think? I know it's,
Let's give it a try.
you wanna give it a try?
Let's do these 2 this month, and
Let's
if we
try
need
it in
to
August
adjust and
and-
say, hey, it didn't work, we'll
Yeah.
change it for the next.
Yeah,
next
and-
night, But we can try it.
You wanna go with 5 or 5:30? Commission,
I would have to purchase a helicopter to get here in time. So I get stuck on the
Oh,
interchange.
you're not 6
I'm
months.
stuck at the interchange. On the way in, right?
When
That's
is
the only,
your-
that's the only thing. It usually, actually takes me 30 minutes to get here right at 5. Right now, I actually. took off at
honestly, I think we should 5:30, yeah.
That'd be
I
perfect.
mean,
I'll be coasting in here.
yeah,
My second one in August, as a matter of fact, mid-August.
so,
And one of the things that I recommended to Mr. Villarreal as well was for him to reach out to the board members. So I think if you guys do a lot of talking before in terms of what's on the agenda, questions that you may have, it can really just,
Make this quick.
right, yeah.
so I think if building that rapport with your board members, I think would really help.
And then twice a month, it's a big help, you know, so it's gonna go a lot
Yeah, cut
quicker.
the agenda in half, because now you split.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so do you want to put that in the form of a motion? That we're going to have our two meetings on the 14th and the 28th of August? Yes? Okay.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second to have our next meetings on the 14th and the 28th of August, beginning at 5:30 to 6:30 at this location here, which is the library.
Sorry, it should be like the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday of
Okay,
the month at 5:30 in this location.
okay. The second and the fourth Tuesday at this location. You guys have to look at your calendars to figure it out.
so it's the second and the last Tuesday of the month.
Last.
Second and
Well,
Always
yeah.
last.
Yeah, it's-
For that month, for that month, for this month.
We got the motion, we got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And I believe that is it on our agenda. I got a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
She seconded.
Got a
she
motion.
motioned it.
And do I have a second? to
Second.
adjourn? I got a second, motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting now adjourned. Yes, we were.
18 minutes?
Well, we started